Special education, I've heard a lot of feedback over the last few months that this committee and this district does not care about special education, and that we've been doing nothing about concerns that have been raised over the past school year. And I want to take a moment to share some reflections on some of that. Special education is a difficult and entangled area that deserves attention, but generates a complex puzzle of requiring expertise and resources to solve. First and foremost, I want to start by saying that, again, special education in Attleboro is not perfect. It never has been, and I do not imagine that it ever will be perfect, for every student and every family situation at all times. But over the last couple of months, I've had dozens of discussions with people about the current state of special education in Attleboro and beyond. And after significant time and lengthy personal reflection on these conversations, I've developed an evolving perspective. I've arrived at the natural observation that every family's situation and experience is unique and different. Perspectives varied based on level of school, the school itself, even the educator or administrator. Some families feel that they easily accessed services to their students' needs, while others felt that it was a tremendous struggle and that they are still experiencing that struggle. Some had experiences with, some great experiences with specific schools, but not others, and other families shared the opposite experiences. The same was true with elementary versus middle versus high school. These conversations are a resounding reminder that with 1,300 students receiving accommodations, you're going to hear about 1,300 different experiences. Along the way, I spoke to some staff in the district that feel very supported and understand the decisions that are made, while others feel like there should be better communication to help them understand decisions and changes to policy and/or procedures. Again, with hundreds of staff supporting dozens of programs, one can anticipate a variety of experiences. I've heard a few consistencies across all of these discussions, and those helped me better understand some of these concerns. Many families spend a tremendous amount of emotional energy to provide scaffolding for their child at a very young age in order to manage the family life based on their children's needs. These structures become critical baseline experiences for families and children. On the other hand, the goal of special education is to provide the least restrictive educational environment for students, so that they can use the supports as needed, but become more independent learners without scaffolding. I believe that this is the gap that Mr. Bennett referenced back in March. It's between a family's established structure and the goals of independent learning. And sometimes that gap feels insurmountable, while at other times there is a clear and obvious solution. At times a student has clear needs, and at others there is significant testing needed. In some extreme cases, families feel they need to seek legal action to come to a resolution. Overall, I believe that our schools generally are very well equipped to support students, to support and address student needs with minimal needs and accommodations, but have more difficulty providing support for students and families with more severe needs. I'm not saying that these needs are never supported, but there is a naturally increased difficulty in handling some situations. Complicate things, our long discussed funding shortfalls and increased shortages in staffing that could further help students and families perhaps improve upon their plan with the school. I believe that everyone on this committee would love to see additional service providers in the schools and other professionals at each building, and that all testing could be done as requested across the district without families needing to go to doctors and hospitals. I believe that everyone on this committee would also love to see staffing levels at each building be able to help the district and families find the balance between life scaffolding and the increased independence. But as has been stated on multiple occasions, this district is underfunded by about $12 million and short about 200 staff of providing the level of services that would be ideal for our school community. This includes additional special education staff, general classroom teachers, clerical staff, administrative positions, and more that could help the district more efficiently and effectively serve all students and families. This committee and the administration continue the work that it has done for years to stretch each dollar to its limit to maximize what we receive, while also advocating for more funding to ease these concerns. None of this, the potential gap between family and school objectives, the spectrum of services needed and provided, nor our funding limitations, is referenced as an excuse. Rather, I see these as a renewal of our work as a committee. I commit to our community that as long as I am chair, this committee will advocate to fully support all of our students with a mindset of equity and inclusion towards student success with the resources provided. As has been stated, these are not problems that are unique to Attleboro. Other districts grapple with providing all of the services and supports that a student wants or needs. Other districts deal with staffing shortages in a variety of areas and are limited in their capacities to provide every service for every student. Other districts can easily provide some accommodations to students and struggle to provide accommodations for others. Over the years, members of this committee have had varied interactions with our special education department and programs. But as a reminder, no one on this committee is an expert in special education, and the committee as a whole is not in a position to impact any specific students' accommodations within the schools. As has been stated, it is not within the committee's purview to oversee any individual student's success or access to services. It is this committee's role, It is in this committee's role to advocate for the district and support the administration to better use all resources available. The committee and the administration are in agreement that those individual student outcomes and decisions should be best left to private discussions among the educators, the administrators, and the families. Where this committee can impact special education is to continue to advocate for increased funding from the state and local levels. On June 2nd, I submitted written testimony to the Joint Committee on Education's fiscal year 2026 budget hearing calling for, among other things, approval of House Bill 597, which would reimburse communities for all in-district transportation as outlined in Chapter 71 of Mass General Laws. I also submitted a letter to the Joint Ways and Means Committee calling on them to begin planning for the completion of the Student Opportunity Act by developing a recalculation of the Chapter 70 funding formula with suggestions on how to improve funding situations for communities like Attleboro. I have also been in touch with Mayor DeSimone about beginning the fiscal year 27 to plan for fiscal year 27 after the fiscal year 26 budget process is complete later this month. A common theme I heard from families and staff is communication and its correlation to happiness and frustration. For families that have been happy with services they received, they attributed it to clear and consistent communication with classroom educators, paraprofessionals, and administrators. For families that were among the most frustrated, they attributed at least part of it to what they believed was inconsistent messages or a lack of transparency. This summer, I intend to work with the administration to find ways to improve communication between educators and families, administrators and families, administrators and educators, and between all of these populations and the committee. The reformation of ACEPAC will play a key role, as was stated, in bridging some of these communication gaps, and I look forward to working with their new leadership. To further build that relationship, I also plan to appoint Ms. Porto as a liaison between ACEPAC and the committee. She and I both attended the initial reformation meeting of ACEPAC, and she has shared an interest in growing this relationship as well. I can only speak definitively for myself, but I am confident that my fellow committee members will agree that this is important work that needs to be done and that we are all committed to every student in this district regardless of ability. We welcome every community member to engage with us in a respectful, thoughtful discussion about our programs and look forward to the continued evolution of services in Attleboro. I will add that we continue to support and look forward to hearing from the administrators at the district and building levels, the classroom educators district-wide, and in and out of special education, the paraprofessional staff in each building, the clerical staff across this district, all of whom come to work each day with the primary objective of supporting all of our students and families in the district to the best of their abilities. I apologize that was lengthy, but as I said, it's been it's the result of a number of discussions, and I felt like I needed to write it to try to put it into some type of organized fashion, so I apologize. So at this time, I'll invite the committee. Do you have any questions or comments for